You were homeless.
Wish everybody out there who doesn't have a home all the best. But for me, looking back, even back then in the situation, homeless, like you can't go home, you don't have a home. So what do? You just sleep outside.
What advice would you give to young individuals facing similar challenges today?
The most important advice that I would give is
Welcome to Mastery Podcast, where we talk about balancing all aspects of life while pursuing your passion as entrepreneurs and business owners. I am your host, Dr. Sass, and today we'll be talking about the inspiring journey of Pascal Bachmann, where he come from struggling to strategy achievers. Pascal, welcome to Mastery Podcast, and it's always nice speaking to you, and I feel like I know you, which I do. And for viewers out there, if you know us, we're a couple, and we do own our own businesses. And Pascal here, he never failed to amaze me with his being, and with the 100 days fasting, and that's just amazing already what he did. And how many days have you been fasting?
Right now, it's day 33, I believe.
Day 33, and we sometimes go out and take a walk and exercise and stuff like that. And I was like, who is fasting here? Because I'm like struggling to catch up with him. And you're just amazing. And today we're going to talk about how you come from just being, a kid in an orphanage with your brother growing up in Switzerland to owning this amazing company called Strategy Achievers. How do you think those early experiences shape your resilience and drive for success today?
Big question. I mean, first of all, thank you for all the compliments, Dr. Sass. I love you too.
It's the truth.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I think for so many of us, like probably all of you, myself, you, when you are in a situation in life, you always perceive it as normal. You maybe have beliefs, or you see, like sometimes you ask yourself, is this normal? Or you go into the victim mode and you feel like, poor me, why does it happen to me? And you start to compare with everybody around you. But at the end, you are in that situation and you just live life. And if you want it to be different, you just try to create something that results in difference. Or like I said, you put yourself in a victim mode and it's poor me, or you become creative and do things that you believe creates a difference that sometimes is not really creating the difference that you're looking for, but you're just in the situation and you live life at the end. And for me, it was, how did that thrive me and the resilience and all that stuff? I think what sounds cliche, but I guess it is like this. What doesn't kill you make you stronger, and you just learn. And for me, I think the key was really martial arts. I didn't bury myself with all these levels and labels and let it bury me to kind of not break out and be who I truly am. I decided to go the other path and fight for it. In martial arts, and this is what I applied in other areas of life, and here I am.
Yeah, a lot of people struggle, right? If they put into a situation where they don't have a home or don't have parents that really take care of you, they don't have that warmth of comfort. And even at 16 years old, I believe, right, you were faced with a very monumental challenge. You were homeless. And can you share how that period of your life influenced your perspective on personal and professional growth?
Yeah, this again, it sounds so dramatic, and I respect everybody out there, especially I have empathy and wish everybody out there who doesn't have a home all the best. But for me, looking back, even back then in the situation, homeless, like you can't go home, you don't have a home. So what do? You just sleep outside. I mean, it's just, again, a situation that you face. And what do? I had two favorite places. The baseball, when you, like, how's that called? Like when they change the beds and stuff, like a little wooden thing. In the summer, I sleep there. And then transition to winter, it was a garage. Like a
parking garage?
A parking garage, which was very well covered. Back then, I didn't tell that to my stepbrothers, parents, or whatever, because I didn't have any contact with them. So I just did what I need to do, sleep. So I go there. I needed to get up for the internship. I was a butcher back then, so I needed to get up like 3-4 o'clock. You just wake up. Alarm clock, the inner alarm clock, wake you up, you go there. They didn't know what's going on for a long time. A few times, of course, I came in late. But again, for me, it's like the perception I have on that. At the end, I made decisions that led to the situation that I need to sleep outside. And all I did, I sleep outside. And that period went over and I started to even feel comfortable. You have your place, you just go sleep there, no big deal. I steal my food. So I had food. I was in an internship as a butcher. I got a lot of meat and sausages and I took that stuff. So I was well fed and, and I had a roof over the head. And again, not judging anybody, for many, and I think this is the point I want to make. It's on you. Where do you come from? What is your point of view? What is your inner state of being? What is your personal level? How do you experience that? Without even knowing it, it always still is a choice for everybody out there. You can dress up, go have a shower, and go work. Everything in the United States I see now hiring. Go clean yourself up. Go apply for a job. Be humble. Get stuff done. You make $1,500, $2,000 just like this. But if you decide to be on the street and beg, that's a decision. I don't feel any sorriness, or however you want to call that, for that. But I also don't judge you. If this is your decision, just go for it. I mean, the only thing I think we don't need to do or shouldn't do is blaming and complaining and excuses and all that stuff. It's because of my boss, and it's the book from Brian Tracy, No Excuses. He explains it just perfectly. Read it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite books, actually. Years ago, I make my kids read those books. No Excuses, Eat That Frog, and then they get reward for reading those books. But those are amazing books. But you give yourself no excuses. You decided to leave the comfort or not so comfort of your home and said, bye, I'm going to go out at 16 years old and try to make it on my own. And instead of sitting around and begging for food and see if anybody feels sorry for you, you actually enroll yourself in internship school while sleeping outside, in the garages under the baseball field where you sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I first steal food before I go work for it. And the comfort, out in the comfort, it was more comfortable being outside alone instead of getting beat up at home. So it was a comfort going from one discomfort into another discomfort that I could at least determine my surroundings or make my choices on in a way that I felt better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you want to share with our viewer out there why you left that so uncomfortable place at 16 years old? Yeah,
sure. I mean, for me back then, it was just I think I never really felt wanted or appreciated from my parents. My parents divorced, like millions out there, so nothing abnormal. But I just, as a child, as a kid, I just felt like I'm just there for nothing, kind of like I'm work. I needed to be taken care of, and my stepdad, I don't really know who my real dad is and if he exists or not, but no idea. I don't, it doesn't really matter for me. There's no relationship, there's no desire to know anything. But from my mom's side, I just felt like there were other interests that she needed in her life back in her stage back then. And as a kid, I think you experience that on your own way, based on who you are and where you are as a kid, and that has to do with so many different things. But for me, I just was in that space where I felt like, okay, there's no appreciation, I'm not wanted, I'm not needed. And then I didn't do things that I'm supposed to do because of specific reasons. So I got beaten, like with hairbrushes and wooden sticks in the head until that stuff broke. And then because it broke, I even need to pay for it, and stuff like that. When I was at the point where I just had enough, I said, okay, let's write a letter and just piss off. I decided to leave. I was just done with that because I didn't want to hurt back with physically. So I decided the best thing for me is I leave. I just go and will find my way.
Mm-hmm. And when you were younger, because for whatever reason she couldn't take care of you, you and your half brothers were
Mm-hmm.
put in the children's home, right, the orphanage. And then when you get back to so-called home, it wasn't that comfortable. So you decided to leave and face the homelessness, but you didn't put yourself in the victim mode. You actually make something out of it. You went to school, you steal your food, but that's what people do to survive sometimes.
Yeah.
And no judgment there, but sometimes people do that to survive. And you almost got caught at one time.
I did got caught. Yeah, I did. But see, like, two things real quick. Back then, when she couldn't take care of me, she could, but she decided not to. And I don't judge that, because I also did things in my life that I did and later regret. Mm-hmm. Until I learn not to regret anything, because we are in different stages, and on that level, in that timeline, this is all we know, and we do things the best to our ability. So that's why I learned not to judge those things. But at the end, I still say it's a decision. All of us make decisions. And then my decision was, when I went out, like I mentioned before, it was martial arts. I wouldn't call myself a criminal, but I steal food, I break into buildings, I steal pretty much everything. I deal with drugs with bigger amounts, the white powder, all that stuff. I was in fights. I wanted to have attention, and I got it through being that kind of person. And then when I went into martial arts, this is when I really felt like now I have a father figure who really teach me discipline. I could not just walk in there and try to be cool. That wouldn't be a good idea.
And this was through, was it Taekwondo?
Taekwondo, yeah.
Yeah, and your master was the one that kind of gave you that first glimpse of like, you are something, you can become somebody.
Yeah, he made me believe that very early. He saw my talents, my skills, my determination, my discipline, my consistency, all that stuff. And because I realized that he saw that, I was inspired to even do more of it. And he made me believe like, hey, we can bring you to the Europe Championship, to the World Championship. And I was just like, I became fascinating. I became obsessed, and I went there every single day, and I steel my body, like iron, kind of steel. So, and I just became better and better and better until I went to the Europe Championship, second place, and then went to the World Championship in Taiwan. So all this became a reality, but I needed to put in the work, and the reason again why I put in the work was because I had someone who truly believed in me and showed me that he believes in me. And this is, I guess, what I needed at that time.
To go on. And you saying this kind of under your breath, like it's not a big deal, but you went to European Championship, and then after that World Championship. And this from having a rough childhood, being homeless, steal food, and being involved with all kinds of difficult situation. And I call that resilient, and I call that taking responsibility of your own fate, pretty much. And how do you say, I know martial arts influence you a lot to become who you are today with the company that you have now. You have built many different companies in the past through that discipline that you have and the discipline that you developed over time. And when you went to World Championship in Asia, what prompted you to stop that path?
For me, it was not the path that I stopped. I guess I just moved the skills that I developed, the discipline, determination, consistency into other areas of my life. I was in my youth, I had the energy. I left Switzerland, sold everything, moved to Thailand and just rebuilt my life. And it was fun. I had an accident that forced me to stop, a motorcycle accident. And that was one of the main reasons why I moved my path. But what I took with me is all the things that made me do what I did in martial arts. And I started to realize and reflect on my life and realize that these skills are the skills that I can move and implement in any other areas of life. And what I did then, I moved into business and used the same or similar skills that apply there, and it worked.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that to people out there who don't know your story. Your story is really intriguing, and even till today, there are many things that I found out that I was like, wow, this human being is amazing. I call him the master of the universe, and this is the kind of a joke we kind of throw around in our household, but it's not really a joke because he had mastered so many different areas of life, having gone through such traumatic childhood and becoming the global entrepreneur and the strategist that he is, and overcoming such adversity at such a young age. And I know the pivotal moment, possibly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that changes you from pursuing martial arts and world champion fighting and all those stuff was when you had the accident in Thailand, right? And then what happened then? Did you started your entrepreneurship right away? What happened after that?
For me, I just learned a lot. I went into a hospital I didn't speak the language. They took care of me, and I then decided in the hospital that I will learn what they used to make me healthy again. Mm-hmm. So that was Chinese medicine in the traditional Chinese hospital in Chiang Mai. So I said, okay, let's stay here and study. So they did a good job. I like how they did it. I like the nature stuff. Like in martial arts, I learned how to break bones. And my master back then, Sablomnu, in Switzerland, he also teaches how to fix these things. And I found that always very interesting. It comes with a lot of nutrition and bone healing and recovery and how do you eat, why do you eat, and when do you eat, and how do you just recover these injuries. And after that bigger accident for me, which took a long time to recover, like almost a year, like a year later on my ankle here still came the white stuff out of the bones with sand. Like wow. They were thinking to cutting off my leg because it was all dark blue all the way down. So I went to a healer, like the bush guys, like nobody, like normal people think they are crazy. So she did like prayings and hula, and somehow it works. And then the guy there was a Tai Chi Quan marcher. So I learned all the Tai Chi things and started to meditate. And I was in this Chinese traditional hospital, learned the techniques. And after that, I went back to Switzerland, opened a practice for Asian therapies. But the one thing I learned later is how important it is to have a vision in life. I believe that every event in life can draw you back. Like if you have a goal in life that is long-term and you go for it, anything that draws you back and destroy that goal is not as hard if you still connect to your long-term vision. For me, it was being world champion. For years, I just go for that. And then, boom, gone. What do you do now? If that would be the only thing I had in my life, I would be completely destroyed. No hope. This is when people become alcoholics, drug addicts, all that stuff. What's there else to live for? There's nothing. But if you have that longer vision that needs time to extract and develop, you always have something to connect to, and you're never going to be in that situation or just periodically to rebuild, because there's just more in life than that one single event that you try to achieve.
Right. That one single event can lead you to the new vision in your life. Right. And that not necessarily was the vision that you have while you were training for World Championship. That event kind of just make a twist or create a fork on your journey, pretty much either nothing or do something. Yeah. Right. And you decided to open the Asian practice therapy where you treat like thousands of people.
More than 20,000 people.
More than 20,000 people. Yeah, that pretty amazing. Talking about resiliency, right? Coming from not having a home to homeless to getting in an accident and your vision was just completely wiped out, and then you create something out of that. And now, Pascal, your journey from hardship to becoming a successful entrepreneur is an incredible story and very inspiring. What advice would you give to young individuals facing similar challenges today?
There's a lot of things I could say about that, but the one and most important advice that I would give is there's always the next step. Like, it doesn't matter what you experience. Can be pain, can be disappointment, can be hope that you lost, can be fear, anxiety, anger, frustration, anything. These moments all will pass. These are all emotions. And after a certain time, they are over. And my advice is, think twice in these emotional moments before you decide to make a decision. Because in these emotions, we often, and most of the time, do the wrong thing. It can end into consuming drugs, drinking alcohol, can go even to the place that you hurt or kill someone. It's just not worth it, because we all have to face consequences based on our actions. And to try to calm down and say, okay, I'm just going to ignore whatever it is, or try at least, and don't make a decision, is the advice I would give. Because at the end, you know, if this is planet Earth today, this is planet Earth tomorrow. It doesn't matter what happened to you. And as long as we have to believe that stuff happened to us, we are victims of the circumstances. And if we just try to say, okay, nothing happened to me, we don't even need to go to the next step. It happened for me or through me and all that stuff. Just, it doesn't happen to me. It's just another situation. I take a step back. I try to calm my emotions before I make a decision. That's probably the biggest one.
Mm-hmm. So take time to make that decision.
Time.
And over time, you also have mentors like your Saboman, which is your Taekwondo master, and others that came along, right? That kind of support you in the decision making. And that is a really good advice, you know, not to make the decision based on your emotion. And it's not worth it. It's really not worth it.
You know, and it opens up doors, because if you don't react emotionally, you somehow get some ideas. You, for example, start to communicate with a friend, with a mentor. You need to talk about that stuff that bothers you, that made you angry, fearful. But these are the things that you actually do, not in an emotional state of being. Usually we react with anger, frustration. Someone push we push back, however that is. And again, that's just most of the time not worth it. So it opens up doors to be calm, to be quiet, to step back. We have ideas that are smarter than any emotional reaction.
Thank you, Pascal Bachmann. There you have it, a story of resilience, and to take what happened, the situation that happened in your life, and create something great out of it, and not become a victim of your circumstances. Like Pascal Bachmann here, creating multiple figure income through many businesses, someone who we can look up to as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, and an example of how to be resilient and at the same time be effective and successful. Thank you, Pascal.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, our viewer out there, for staying with us. And we will be doing a few series on Pascal's story. He have much more wisdom to share with you. So stay tuned.